Hey there. Hey, how's it going, Realty Coach? Um, hey, so today's Realty Coach moment is pretty interesting. So this afternoon, I actually spoke to somebody. We had a property that a buyer was actually trying to buy, a young guy and his girlfriend, and they actually went into contract for the property. When they went into contract, they actually knew that the property may have a property appraising, but they were okay with it. And the agent actually said, "Okay, you know what? We'll try to figure it out later on if we have to." So lo and behold, we're actually working on the mortgage. We get everything ready to go, and the property actually does come in and appraises slightly lower than what the asking price was. So the agent called me and the buyer called me and they said, "Hey, what are we going to do? What do you think we should do?" And the agent did exactly what you would expect. Is the agent actually said, "Hey, we'll go back to the seller. We'll try to renegotiate the deal and see if they'll actually come down on the price a little bit." At the same time, the agent called me and said, "Hey, this is really a good deal." And I said, right now to be able to get control of a property in this market is a great deal. Number one. Number two, we actually locked their interest rate about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. And the difference between their rate now and if I had to give them that same rate today, when I locked the rate, it was 7 1/8. That rate today is about 7.75 for the same actual property, same borrower, same credit score, same everything. The only difference is that their interest rates have gone up. So at that point, the borrower said, "Hey, but why should I overpay for a property more than the asking price?" And I said, one of the more interesting things that I learned as a real estate broker over the years, and in a former life, I was a real estate broker. I helped about 2,000 people buy, sell, or invest in a home. We negotiated about $1 billion in business. And I said, and everything, all that stuff I figured out was, the one thing I did figure out was the listed price is nothing more than a marketing tool to get people to the door. The listed price doesn't indicate value. So I'll say that again. The listed price is nothing more than a marketing tool to get people to the door. It's not an indication of value, though most people will price the home near or close to where it should be priced at, or where the market, where the market value, fair market value would be considered. In this particular case, the property actually was priced right. They actually paid the asking price. And after that, they said, "Hey, we're just not willing to go any higher than the asking price, Sean. So we're gonna if they're not gonna come down on the price, we're gonna probably punt the deal." Now, understand something. The difference between where they are and where the appraisal is about 3.5%. So here, being a recovering realtor, here's what I actually did was I went and looked at the property's value in today's market in comparison to last year. And what is that going to tell me? That's telling me if the property is appreciating or depreciating the values in that neighborhood. Well, lo and behold, turns out properties are actually year to date are up 8.25. Again, 8.25% in that neighborhood. So right out of the gate, if they actually paid the additional 3.5%, they'd be ahead of the game by 5% right out of the gate. And if you just do some, simple math, that's actually pretty good considering right now we still have, for every one home that's in the market, we have 4 buyers that are trying to buy that house. So again, out of one house that's in the market, we have 4 buyers trying to buy that house, which means that there's low inventory, high demand. The other thing is that they said, Sean, we're going to wait because more than likely the prices are going to come down. Well, over the past 10 quarters, we've raised the interest rates. And when we started, there was about one house for every 10 buyers. It took 10 quarters, which is about 2.5 years or so, for that to bring down the inventory to where it's a 4-to-1 now. So the likelihood of getting to 1-to-1 or getting to 2-to-1 where it's going to be a buyer's market again, where there's more inventory than there is buyers, is probably not likely in the next, 12 to 24 months, unless something dramatically happens in the market. And then the other thing is that the economists that were predicting that we were going to see interest rate declines in the beginning of the first quarter of next year, or the end of this year, going into next year, going into the election year, which, by the way, almost every election year rates do come down. But in this particular, right now, all the economists are saying that we're going into a soft landing, and they don't expect to pull rates back, especially considering that, CPI, which is, CPI and inflation are still running pretty rapid. And, for all intents and purposes, the Fed's job is not to set monetary policy. The Fed's job is to curb inflation and keep inflation contained. And they're trying to get inflation back down. Right now, inflation is 3 times what they really want to see it at. So if smart money is saying right now that they're probably at the very least going to keep rates the same, and they might even raise them one more time because that's what they've already said. So, why on God's green earth, Sean, would we overpay for the house? Well, number one, if you punt that deal and we have to relock your loan, your interest rate is going to instantly go from 7.25 to 7.75 on the same exact property. So that increases your payment right there. Number two, the likelihood of prices coming down in the short term are probably slim to none, unless something dramatic happens that nobody's aware of right now. The other thing is that, let's say that you did pay an extra 3.5% for that property. Based on the past 45 years, prices have increased every year for the past 45 years, except for 2 years. And that was once during the Great Depression and then 2008, if you'll remember. But ironically enough, even during those years and even those rolled in, we still average like 5.5 to 7.5% on property increases over the past 40-something, 50 years. So when somebody says, hey, I'm going to invest my money someplace else, I'm thinking, well, over the past, 5 years, that property's gone up 22%, 12%, 8%, 9%, and last year 8.5%, even with 7.5% interest rates. So that's part one. Part two is, the rate you're going to pay. You marry the house and date the rate. The rate can always change, but the price of the home that you're locked in at, it's what the number is, unless you sell the house. And would you rather lock in the price at a lower price or a higher price? And if rates stay the same and inventory stays the same, more than likely housing prices are going to still continue to go up. And then lastly, here's the most interesting part. I said to the buyer, I go, let me ask you a question. Right now, how much are you paying for rent? And they said, Sean, we pay about $2,500 a month in rent. I said, okay, great. That's quite a bit. I said, let me ask you a question. You seem like really smart kids. How much is 2,500 times 0? Well, that's 0, Sean. Right. That's the tax benefit that you're getting as a result of, not owning a home, but renting. And really what's happening is you're paying for somebody else's kid to go to college by renting that house. Instead, had you invested the money and purchased a home, first of all the money you pay toward taxes, up to $10,000, is tax deductible. And then all the money you pay toward interest on a loan in the first 3 to 5 years is probably about 98% of the payment, because the bank wants their money back first. That money is also tax deductible because you're paying toward interest on a loan. With the average person, let's call it, even if you're at the highest tax bracket of 38%, in order to afford a house, you're probably at that tax bracket, by the way. If you have 38% on, just for argument's sake, let's call it $2,000 a month. It's $760. That's, $2,000 a month times 38%. Like I said, that's 760 plus another 300. That's like $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. That is going to be your tax benefit when you purchase that home versus renting for $2,500 with a 0 tax benefit. So I'm going to buy a house for, let's say, $400,000. I'm going to put 5% down. That's $20,000. I'm going to pay $2,500 a month in mortgage and taxes. And I'm going to get back, for argument's sake, let's say $1,000 from Uncle Sam. At those numbers, $12,000, I'm going to get half my money back in the first, almost a little more than half my money back in the first 12 months. In year 2, I'm actually making money. Far be it from me, but as I said in the very beginning of this conversation, the listed price is nothing more than a marketing tool to get people to the door. The American dream was considered the American dream for a reason. It still is. No matter what interest rates are right now, if you take whatever the interest rate is that you're paying, if you're paying for rent, it's most likely going to be costing you more than if you bought a property, even at 7 or 8%, because the tax benefits far exceed the investment. And by the way, right now, properties have been going up 8 to 10% a year for the past 5 to 7 years. Even if it goes to half of that, it goes back to normal where it's a 3 to 5% a year, that's not a bad return on your investment. I'll see you on the other side. Coach Sean. Hey, if you got questions or you want to find out, or if you're thinking about buying a home or selling a home, or you're thinking about investing in real estate, or you just want to find out how to manage the home you're in and save thousands of dollars, grab the app below, Realty Coach app. It's the only one of its kind. We actually coach consumers for free. That's right. We coach consumers and help them make complicated real estate decisions really simple and really easy. How do we do that? First of all, you could either read it while you're doing our master classes, which are really cheap. They're cheaper than a cup of coffee. And we have master classes on buying a home, selling a home, investing in a home, or managing the home you already own. We're even having one actually on how to do the ultimate open house, which is really cool if you're going to do it on your own. We're also going to show you, like, if you don't want to do it on your own, but you just want to figure out who the best agent is to hire in your neighborhood, don't worry, we got you covered. In our app, you could either read about it, you could either listen to it, you can watch it, you watch a video of it, or if you get stuck, you raise your hand and you schedule a call. And that's right, we'll actually have a call. We'll have a one-on-one call with you for free. It's part of being in our community of people. We'll see you on the other side. Coach Sean, Realty Coach. I can't wait to see you inside the app. Let me know if you need a challenge. Thanks.